Welcome to the French Made Easy podcast, where I give you all the basics you need to speak French clearly and confidently. I'm your host, Mathilde, and I'm a French teacher, mompreneur, and bread and cheese lover. Join me as I dive into all things French for beginners and deliver to you bite-sized, easy-to-follow lessons every Tuesday. Let's get started. On commence. Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome back to the French Made Easy podcast. This is episode 14, 14. In today's lesson, you will learn the French subject pronouns. Bonus, you'll also learn tons of French words to describe the different rooms in the house. So a bit of grammar and a bit of vocabulary today. Alright, I hope you've got your cheat sheet in front of you because this lesson is a little bit harder than the ones before and there are a lot of new words. And seeing the words while hearing them will make the whole learning process a lot faster and easier. So if you don't have it yet, go download it first. It's free. Or at least check out the transcript. And after the lesson, don't forget to download your exercises so you can start practicing what you've learned. And that's also free. Now, are you ready? C'est parti. Alright, so first, what are subject pronouns? Subject pronouns are used to replace nouns that are the subject of the sentence. For example, if I say to you, Mark is in the house, instead of repeating Mark, I can say he is in the house. He replaces Mark and he is the subject pronoun. Other ones are I, you, she, etc. And now that we all know that, let's see what they are in French. So let's start with the singular forms. Then we'll do the plural. Repeat after me. Je is I. Je. Je. Tu is you. Tu. Tu. Il is he or it. Il. Il. Elle is she or it. Elle. Elle. On is one or we. On. On. Très bien. Now, let me explain each singular subject pronoun. Je is the first person of the singular, and it means I. For example, je suis dans le salon. I am in a living room. Je suis dans le salon. Je suis dans le salon. Something to be aware of is that je changes to J apostrophe when followed by a vowel. For example, j'ai un balcon. I have a balcony. You don't say je ai un balcon, but j'ai un balcon because ai starts with a vowel. Okay, on to the second person of the singular. Tu, which means you. It's singular and informal. Why do I say singular and informal? Because in French, there are two ways of saying you. You should use tu only if you are talking to one person that you know well, or if you are talking to a child or a young person. For example, if I want to say to one person that I know, you are in a bathroom. In French, I'm going to say tu es dans la salle de bain. Tu es dans la salle de bain. Tu es dans la salle de bain. We'll come back to the second formal way of saying you in just a few minutes. Great. Now let's see the third person of the singular. Il, elle, and on. Starting with il, this can mean he or it. For example, il est dans la cuisine. He is in the kitchen. Il est dans la cuisine. Il est dans la cuisine. Okay, next is elle. This can mean she or it. For example, elle est dans le jardin. She's in the garden. Elle est dans le jardin. Elle est dans le jardin. Now, I skipped over it as it is a bit more complicated. There's no direct equivalent of it in French. For example, in English, if I say, the apple is in the kitchen, to replace apple, I can use it. It is in the kitchen. But in French, that's a bit different. Remember, all nouns have a gender in French. They are either feminine or masculine. Well, it translates as either il or elle, he or she. So, the apple in French is la pomme, and it is a feminine noun. So, I'm going to say, elle est dans la cuisine. Elle est dans la cuisine. And what if I'm talking about chocolate? Chocolate in French is le chocolat, and it's a masculine noun. So here, I'm going to say, il est dans la cuisine. Il est dans la cuisine. Finally, for the third person of the singular, we have on, which means one or we. If you've learned French in high school, you probably did not learn that on is we because it's quite informal modern French. Nowadays, though, French speakers almost use on to say we. I'll teach you the more formal version of we in just a second. The only thing you have to remember here is that when you start conjugating verbs, which is for a bit later, on is used the same way as il or elle, as a singular pronoun, which I agree can be a bit confusing because we is meant to be plural. For example, if I say to you, you and I are in a hallway. We are in a hallway. I'm going to say in French, on est dans le couloir. On est dans le couloir. Good. To recap, the singular pronoun subjects are je, tu, il, elle, on. Great. I hope that made sense to you. Now stay with me. We are almost there. Let's move on to the plural forms. Repeat after me. Nous is we. Nous. Nous. Vous is you. Vous. Vous. Il or elle are they. Il or elle. Okay, now let's talk about each plural subject pronoun. The first person of the plural, nous, is the more formal way to say we. For example, nous sommes dans la chambre. We are in a bedroom. Nous sommes dans la chambre. Nous sommes dans la chambre. Now, to be honest with you, French speakers usually use nous in formal writing. So in most situations, we just use on. I would have to dedicate a full lesson on the difference between on and nous because it can be quite tricky for beginners to understand. Don't worry for this lesson why one version is regarded as singular and the other as plural. For today, it's enough to know that on is informal and nous is formal. Now, the second person of the plural is vous, which is the other way to say you. You use vous if you are talking to someone you don't know very well or someone you need to be formal with, or last one, if you are talking to a group of people. For example, vous êtes dans le grenier. You are in the attic. You could say this when you are talking to more than one person, but it could also mean that you are talking to one person that you don't know very well. Honestly, you would probably never say that to anyone you don't know because that's creepy, but that was the only example I had. And by the way, the reason why vous is always regarded as plural will become clearer when we start conjugating verbs. But that's a topic for another lesson. Now, the third person of the plural is il and elle, which both mean they. Il is the masculine form and elle is the feminine. Il or elle. Now, note that both sound the same as il and elle from the singular forms, but the difference is that there is a silent S at the end. For example, they are in the garage. If they are men, I will say ils sont dans le garage. Ils sont dans le garage. But if they are women, I will say elles sont dans le garage. Elles sont dans le garage. Now, note that il refers to any group of nouns that include at least one masculine noun. So, as an example, when you want to say they are in a room, if there's a room filled with 100 women, you would say elles sont dans la pièce. Elles sont dans la pièce. But if there's even just one man amongst 100 women, you would have to say ils sont dans la pièce. Ils sont dans la pièce. Grammatically speaking, in French, masculine is stronger than feminine. Just grammatically speaking, of course. Alright, I hope that all made sense to you. If not, please check out the transcript or the cheat sheet that will help. Now, it's time for our usual recap. So let's repeat all the subject pronouns. On y va. Je, I. Tu, you, singular informal. Il, he. Elle, she. On, one or we, informal. Nous, we, formal. Vous, you, plural, informal. Il, with an S. They, masculine. Elle, with an S. They, feminine. Guys, you are done. Bien joué, well done. That was quite complicated. Now, I would love to hear from you. Can you give me one phrase using any of the French subject pronouns? Let me know in the comments over at mathildekin.com. I'll put a link below. And that brings us to the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to download your lessons exercises by clicking the link in the episode's notes. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episode. And if you are enjoying this podcast, I really appreciate a quick rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Hey, it's me again. Before you go, I just wanted to let you know that if you are struggling with French pronunciation, I am excited to announce my new and free beginner's audio guide. It's called 5-Step Roadmap to Effortless French Pronunciation. It's really designed to simplify your French pronunciation journey and to make it less overwhelming for you. So if you are a beginner starting or restarting to learn French and you want to improve your French pronunciation, then this audio guide is perfect for you. And obviously, you'll also get a transcript with the audio guide so you can follow along while you listen. So click the link inside your podcast notes to access your audio guide. It is free. À bientôt. Bye.